Okay, thank you. I'll call this meeting of the City of Powell River Committee of the Whole to order for Tuesday. Let me get the right agenda up on my thing here. I should read from the right piece of paper. Call this meeting to order of the City of Powell River Committee of the Whole meeting for Tuesday, April 16th, 2024, and acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the traditional territory of the Tla'amin people who have lived on this land for many thousands of years. First item of business would be adoption of the agenda. Is there any additions or anything to the agenda? Councillor Palm. Oh, he's moving the adoption of the agenda as circulated. Councillor Isaacson, seconding. And just for the crowd, I see that Rob Southcott is attending on TV here because of some issues he's having about attendance today. And we don't have Councillor Alameda with us. So any discussion on the adoption of the agenda? All those in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Councillor Southcott, is it possible for you to turn your camera on so we can see if you're voting? Oh, there's Councillor Almeida. Okay, so everybody's on board. So anybody opposed to adopting the agenda is circulating? That's carried. Brings us to adoptions of the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting, April 2, 2024.
I'll move adoption of the minutes.
I have a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Elliott. Any discussion on that motion? Any errors or omissions? Don't see any hands. All those in favor of adopting the minutes is circulated. Any opposed? We got the big yes there from Councillor Alameda. I appreciate that. It's easy to see. Next thing on our list is delegations. And before we get into it, we've got a lot of people here today. But I'm just going to ask for respect of all of the people that may be getting up and making presentations to let people speak, to not interrupt, not clap, or have showings of approval or disapproval, because it's a general respect for people and allows them to make their point of view without being intimidated or subject to any kind of coercion. And I say this today because I have gotten a number of emails, one I responded to just today, from a person who was saying because of the atmosphere in council chambers lately, they are afraid to come here and get up and make a delegation. So I'm asking everybody to treat everybody with respect, not have demonstrations of support or the opposite, and allow people to have their opportunity to say what they want to say. The first delegation, which I don't think is going to be too controversial, is our friend Arthur Arnold regarding the Arts Hub project. Arthur.
Thank you, Councillor Dowd, and thank you for your encouraging words just now. I think that's very important that we respect one another. And I'm going to present, I think, very exciting project that we are trying to do. Now, I have to tell you that I prepared this slideshow, and you have it there. It doesn't go with my, no, that's not connected. I have this slideshow here, and I have papers, but I'm a very bad reader, especially in English, when, you know, so I'm going to wing this, I hope. Usually I jazz it here, I improvise, but I think I might forget some details. Oh, this is how I move it? Okay, thank you. Wow, that's up to me. Okay, I feel like a conductor now. So we are, with Prisma, we had an office for many years. We started in the basement as a young organization, and we were so happy, so lucky to be supported by the Townsite Mall, to have an office for many years free of use in kind. And due to the recent renovations, we were asked to find another place, which we have looked at different options until I went to Steve Brooks and asked, what do you have in the Townsite? He said, well, basically nothing. Well, I can show you one space, but it obviously won't work. And he brought me into a 5,000 square foot space. And you can see on that slide there, a tiny impression of it. And it was an aha moment for me. I thought, wow, this would be a space where many arts organizations could benefit, where many start in basements, and you know, this allows us to among all of us make it possible to make it available and to share resources. So I'm going to see what that next slide has to offer. It doesn't react at the moment. Do I click on this arrow? Okay, there we go. So you can see that the Cultural Arts Hub will be a multidisciplinary center for the arts, an arts and culture hub to be located in the 5,000 square feet of the upper floor of the Townsite Market Building. We entered into a 10-year lease agreement for this space, and you know, we took funders into the space, program managers of different funding agencies, and they all said, wow, this is amazing. So that helps with our grant projects. The project will assure cross pollination between arts organizations, and it will allow for equipment sharing. For example, we own basses, we own harps, we have orchestra chairs generally provided by the community forest. Now other arts organizations can share in these resources and don't have to buy their own stuff. We believe that together as arts organizations we are stronger, and we should not work in silos in this beautiful artsy town where the arts are so important. We have design and amenities. You can see here that we have flexible configuration in the big space. There is movable walls. We aim for movable walls, so it can be for small groups, it can be for big groups, it can even house a symphony orchestra. There's offices and boardrooms. There will be rehearsal rooms and teaching studios. The space will be climate controlled, and for instrument storage and sensitive equipment, there will be sound and lighting project capabilities, live stream technology, an industrial kitchen. There's even an culinary arts interest in sharing the space. It will be great soundproofing so that it will not disturb the different arts user groups. And it will have a capacity up to 249 people in total if we want to do any events there. You can see here the outside of the building, and we face the part where the Arts Hub will be located. On the next slide, you see an impression of the inside, currently still full of wood. And here you see an impression of the space from the back. Here we have some drawings. I cannot really point out what is where from this distance, but so that will be, there will be offices under the mezzanine on the left, not the complete left, but the second row of the left. And you see some bathrooms. I cannot point it out. I don't have a pointer here. But anyway, the Arts Hub and the benefits, it will be artistic creation, collaboration, and cross-pollination between arts organizations. There will be support for each other. If we have questions, if we have Prisma are now a kind of an adult arts organization, we can support younger arts organizations, smaller arts organizations, but we also can sit together, brainstorm, and see how we can be more successful in our beautiful region. It will attract tourism, especially if we start to do more, you know, this space offers an opportunity for kind of cool events. usually when we are in the Evergreen Theatre, it's an orchestra setting. It's a traditional setting, and let me be clear about it. We will always have the heart of Prisma at the Evergreen Theatre and in the recreation center. That is where we operate our festival, and we will do that. This space is not good for that. So you won't lose us there. We don't want to go. Let me be clear about that. But it will, create options to be more cool in our presentation, to attract a younger audience and a diverse audience, to eventually teach them how to appreciate music and the performing arts. Imagine that it will draw tourism, and that eventually it might be like Coombs, Goats on the Roof. People want to come to the town center, to Townsite Mall, to experience this, and all the beautiful stores that are in there. The Prisma Arts and Culture Hub aligns with the community aspirations. And if you look at this slide, there are a few, how do I call these things? Projects that it aligns with: the Powell River Economic Development Strategy of 2015, the Economic Development Report and Sector Strategy Roadmap of 2019. It helps with it is in line with the Tla'amin Nation priorities as outlined in its comprehensive nation plan. And I want to read to you something about this arts hub that I think might help to understand. Multiple organizations will be brought together under one roof to inspire creativity, build skills, strengthen community connections, contribute to the local economy, and celebrate the spirit that makes the Katet region unique. Co-locating these groups will create a visible, dynamic, thriving, creative ecosystem where shared resources and expertise can be optimally utilized, addressing shared challenges like underused equipment, venue instability, and inconsistent or seasonal demand for staffing. Prisma is engaged in a wide range of interested user groups representing different fields, ranging from performing arts. It is, for example, community orchestras, other festivals, private music instructors, to culinary arts and martial arts. 8 partners from within the community are currently involved in the project. Cultural and Heritage Manager of the Tla'amin Nation, Drew Blaney, writes, "Our collaboration with Prisma is a testament to the harmonious potential of cross-cultural exchange through the arts, a journey that speaks to the heart of reconciliation. The proposed arts hub at the Townsite Market offers an unprecedented opportunity to deepen these connections, not just for the Tla'amin Nation, but for the entire Katet region." So that is how it aligns with the bigger endeavor that we all are after. Now about the budget. As you can see in this slide, so I'm actually sorry about, you missed a slide, but I'm so bad at this, you know.
You here because we have a 10-minute time limit.
Am I over that?
And you were getting to within a few seconds.
Oh my goodness. Okay, the budget, very important.
So hang on. If you can wrap it up quickly, I'd like you to wrap it up quickly. If you need more time, I can ask council if they're willing to let you finish explaining what you came here to explain to us.
I think I need 2 more minutes.
Council okay with that?
Thank you, everyone.
Everybody got the thumbs up? So
$794,000 to make the leasehold improvements to use the space for these organizations. We have to date raised $450,000, more than half. And I won't read all the details. We have another grant in for $250,000. I have to say that the $450,000 were the maximum amounts we could apply for, and they were both donated as the maximum amounts, which is apparently quite unique for these organizations, and everybody was really pleased with our grant writing and the project itself. We have submitted a grant application to the community forest for $94,446. And the matching funding from this $450,000 will only be released if we find the full amount of $794,000. We are confident that we will, but we are depending on the community forest grant. And I will just bluntly, Dutchly ask you, will you support us with this grant? I know that's your choice, and this will make or break the project. So when that comes, please support, keep this in mind and support Prisma. I think it's clear that this will be great for the economy of the Townsite, for the overall artistic community. It will help a lot of smaller communities. I don't think I need to talk much more about anything else, and I hope you support our project.
Okay, that's pretty clear. A nice, precise presentation, and I'm just going to ask if council has any questions. And if we could get you to take the slideshow down, then I will be able to see the other council members that are on the Zoom.
Do I do that? You did. Okay. Phew.
Okay, any questions? Councillor Isaacson and the mayor.
Yeah, thank you, for sharing 2 additional items that you might want to add to your rationale in terms of other groups who have indicated priorities in these areas. Sunshine Coast Tourism and their 10-year destination development strategy talk about the importance of mid-sized venues in Powell River, and so you could add that. And even within council's own list of strategic priorities, we talk about facilities for culture that help define our community and make it a place where people want to live. So you could speak to us in that sense as well. My one question for you is if there are other arts types or cultural organizations that you have not yet connected with who maybe are smaller and aren't aware of your initiative and might want to get into it, how might they reach you?
We can be reached at info@prismafestival.com, and we are open for everyone.
Okay.
The more the merrier. Thanks for asking that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Arnold.
There was no.
Thank you. I had the privilege of seeing this facility back when it was a dream. And I'm really pleased that you've managed to take it from a dream to the point where you've got great plans. And my question to you, when you were going through the funding sources, did that include both a provincial and federal agency?
Correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Elliott.
Sorry, Councillor Almeida's on the.
I see that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming here and telling us about this exciting project. My question to you is the budget, the overall budget, was that done with a kind of a concrete idea in mind with quotes, or is that estimate subject to more details as you get going?
It's a very precise budget with 2 different quotes from 2 different building agencies, with the consultation with the architect. We are now in consultation with other people. It's very detailed and very precise.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Alameda.
Thank you, Chair. Good to see you, Arthur. Sorry I can't be there in person. 2 small things. If you can be sure to share your PowerPoint with staff so that they could, at the minimum, send it to the rest of council. I couldn't only see it so small here from a distance, but
yes, will do.
And then the second thing is, I will follow up with an email to you regarding the Island Coastal Economic Trust, which does have a funding option that one of the categories are cultural and nature-based tourism. So there's a chance that Prisma might be able to apply under that category to meet some of your funding needs.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Well, thank you very much. It's a great presentation and it's an exciting project. So good luck.
Thank you.
And just a word to staff before we go on to the next few delegations. We've got a number of them. It would be nice if we could have the clock displayed on the screen so that everybody in the room and the person making the presentation will know how much time they've got left and you don't have to depend on me squinting into my iPad. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Through the chair, when it's not possible to have a PowerPoint plus the timer, so that's why we didn't have the timer with the previous delegation. Thank you.
I'll continue to try to do the best I can. So delegation number 3.2, Robin Murray of the Concerned Citizens of Powell River regarding the results from the survey on the city name change. Mr. Murray.
Hello, Robin Murray here today. Thank you very much for having me and our group presenting this survey, the results from the survey that we did recently. I'd also like to thank everybody for showing up here today. Here. It's great to see so many people who care about our city. We all do, and it's wonderful to see so many people engaged. It's unfortunate that there's so much, this issue has caused so much division, but that's where we are. So why is there a survey? This is the survey that we put out and we passed around town. We sent it out to the entire town that we could. There's a lot of people feel that the voices of the people of Powell River haven't been heard. Feel that it feels like they have not had their voices heard or respected. And watching council, there's so much seems to be so much disagreement and hostility towards the name change that, and with a couple of years ago wanting to have a referendum on it at the last election and then it not being allowed. And then in last spring when the MP tried to change the riding's name, that really upset a lot of people. And so I can understand why the name change has been requested. But I also have to say that I understand the people who grew up here and lived here and raised their families here. They care deeply about their town, and the name is very much a part of why they want to keep the name. So we've been watching council, and a lot of people have been very disappointed with how it's been handled and wanting something to be done about it. And waiting for another 2.5 years until the next election is just going to cause a lot more stress and a lot more division still, unfortunately. So we wanted to find out what people were really thinking these days. So this is why this came to be, why we put this around town, because it's a good way of getting an idea of why. We have the clock up there? Good. So we met back in January, talked about what we could do. We talked about the design of it. We talked about what kind of questions. And we came down to, are you in favor of a name change? Yes or no? Just a simple question. Once we got that figured out, we got a designer to make it look nice. And I made the email address, got the email set up so that we could people could send it in nice and easily. Got the post box, got that all sorted out. Then we sent it off to the printer and waited for it. And then it came back at the end of February, and we were able to start sending out beginning of March. Then we had when we started to send out, we thought that we could send because we fundraised for all of this. People threw in $20 here, $50 there, $100 there to help pay for the printing and the costs of the distribution. We used Canada Post, their ad mail program. It wasn't until we started to take it to the post office that they informed us that everybody doesn't receive all of the so-called junk mail. which is the official name is AdMail. So we were able to still send it to over 5,200 homes and apartments, and we got quite a few back. And so each week we would get together and we would break off into groups, and I would pick up the surveys every day, bring them home, put them in a locked room, and keep them there until our meeting on the middle of the week. Then I would print off all of the surveys that I got through email, and I'd take them up to the meeting as well. And then we'd sit down, break into groups, and we would count them. We tried to make it as official as possible, with having a couple of people open the envelopes and then hand them to two people to count. And then there was a couple other people watching to make sure everything is counted. We counted all the yeses, we counted all no's, and we made sure that it was just for people inside the city of Powell River. So surveys have been used for quite a few things. Our MP sends out little flyers with a survey asking for people's name and phone numbers all the time. The library has done a survey recently asking for people's opinion. Lesley did one recently, and it was for the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, and they surveyed 1,500 people, and they said that they have a margin of error of 2.5%, 19 times out of 20, which represents basically the views of the 40 million people in Canada. There's been many things. 351. I'll read off a few of the things, people's opinions. This is a question that was sent in to the working group a couple of years ago. Just a yes or a no answer will be fine. During the public hearings, were any speakers on either side of the debate asked whether or not they resided in Powell River or the district? Answer was, thanks for writing. Your email will be added to the correspondence. Hi, Bruce. No, they were not. A few of the comments, no. Thanks and keep up the good work. Hey there, I greatly respect your group for taking action into its own hands. Please advise if I can give any help or financial aid. We should change the name because the 100-year history of non-Native people here is insignificant compared to the thousands of years the First Nations have been here. Votes should be with no name attached. If the poll is in favor of a name change, then and only then will a new name be considered. I'm not in favor of Powell River name change. None of the following want the name change, all from Powell River, born and raised. Tell City Hall to stop wasting our money on these things, meaning the name changes. How much did we waste on the hospital name change? And I've got quite a few others here I can hand out to you later. So where are we at? All of our surveys that we've received back are similar to letters written because they have got the name, phone number, and a signature. I've heard in the past that a letter written in or a message sent in to an elected official, each one represents between 100 and 250 people's views. So I think what we've done here today represents the majority of the people's views. So we've got, let's start off with, so we had 2,056 entries. We had 19 voids. 19 are voided because they're from out of in the regional district. We counted everything, 125 yeses. And we had, bring up the whole box. We had 1,912 no. No, we do not want to change the name. Yes, no's. Okay, yeah. So we went through them all and made sure that they were We tried to do our best to do as legit of a survey as possible to get the people's views. We opened it to everybody, and a lot of people were very happy with it. And we had them numbered as well to try and keep track of them. So our feeling is that from the community charter, it says councils are established and continued by the will of the community. A lot of the people in the community don't want this name change. And we believe that it needs to be dealt with sooner than later because it's causing so much division. A lot of people believe that this is the will of the community. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer.
Council, any questions? Any hands up? So thanks. Thanks for the information and thanks for the work you did.
Thank you very much.
3.3 is Stephen Miller, Rick Craig, and Bill Bird regarding the coalition between Townsite Ratepayers Society, Westview Ratepayers Society, and the Wildwood Ratepayers Association.
Honorable Mayor and councillors, first regrets from Bill Bird. He's out of town and could not attend. With me is Rick Craig from the Westview Ratepayers Society, and I'm with the Townsite Ratepayers Society. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce you to the Powell River Ratepayers Coalition. In light of recent major issues that have risen in Powell River and the effect these issues have or will have on the ratepayers of Powell River, the Townsite Ratepayers Society, Westview Ratepayers Society, and Wildwood Ratepayers Association have joined together to create a coalition of Powell River ratepayers. The terms of reference for our group are as follows. The coalition will strive to provide information and representation for all taxpayers in matters that affect their lives in the municipality of Powell River. Whereas the coalition has been formed by 3 groups of ratepayers organizations, each organization will maintain its independence and will function without oversight from the coalition as it deems best for its group. The coalition will create task forces with representatives from each organization where feasible and a designated task force leader. Overall work will be coordinated by a joint steering committee of ratepayers presidents. For a task force to be created under the banner of the coalition, all 3 groups must unanimously agree to creating the task force. The coalition will undertake an annual review of its development and progress. We will communicate our work through marketing to our constituents throughout the city and to all authorities. I'll turn it over to Rick now.
Hi, everybody. When we were discussing this, we met and we're trying to talk about what kind of issues would we work on. And so at that time, we developed an initial list, and then obviously it's going to change. So at this moment, the idea is for the groups to talk about a number of things together, to research them, to educate our members on them, to develop ideas and proposals that we can come to council and others on as a result of them. And the ones that I want to talk about are sort of 6 that came out of our meeting. The first was transparency of governments, and obviously the C3 meetings, the goal being that we think it's important to have a strong working group representing the city, and it should represent the diversity of the city. It needs the strongest community support. And we've written on that recently because we are concerned about what's happening, and that there needs to maybe be some conversation about that at the upcoming council meeting. There's a concern about who's being proposed and why the mayor is not being proposed. And these are the kinds of things the coalition talks about or will talk about. Number 2, the issue of the mill and how it's going, where its uses and how they will affect neighborhoods both socially and economically, and the necessary cleanup. Another issue is finance, budget, and all matters affecting ratepayers. Obviously, everybody's worried about taxes and things like that, how the city uses its funds, consultants, etc. And basically, we want to have an opportunity from time to time to have input. Supportive housing and homelessness. Obviously, there's going to be a need for more supportive housing. We want to make sure it's done in a way that works well with communities. Number 5, name change. Obviously, everybody, if it's going to happen, there's a need to be part of the process in some way. Be able to communicate that and how that will look. And number 6, all other efforts to strengthen our community and build community cohesiveness, safety, and resilience. We want to coordinate things like the block march, maybe different kinds of neighborhood parties, ability to bring together the community where we can, and do it, all of us. So thank you for listening to us.
To save our remaining 5.5 minutes for the next delegation we do, if that's possible.
No, it isn't. So sorry, you've got 10 minutes. You can use it or lose it. But
we're all finished.
But I just want to give council members an opportunity to ask you any questions or make any comments if they'd like to. I see the mayor's hand up, so Mayor Wasno.
Thank you very much. The type of cooperation reminded me was when we started the Westview Ratepayers Society, we went to the Townsite Ratepayers Society and said, how do you do this? And they were kind enough to share with us the documents required from the provincial government, and it made setting up Westview very simple. And so I'm really pleased to see that there's been this coming together of 3 different ratepayers society to provide council and the staff advice on some very important issues, and you've listed them all. So congratulations. I think it's a wonderful initiative.
Councillor Isaacs.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair to Mr. Craig and Mr. Miller, I'm wondering if you could tell us about the process from an idea being discussed to, say, a letter being sent to council with the coalition's position on something. Does that get approved by the various boards? Does it get voted on by in the general meetings? Like, how does it come from membership through to, say, council or other bodies of government that you might be writing to?
An idea will be brought up. The 3 presidents will discuss it. We will bring it back to our boards. Our boards will all 3 boards have to agree that it is significant, the issue, and that it's something that they want their society to take on through the coalition. And once there's unanimity there, a task force leader will be assigned to that issue. Research will be done. And then once the research will be done, a position will be taken. The boards will approve that position, and then it will go to council. I think our hope is that the coalition is taken seriously by council and staff of the city, and that there is open 2-way communication on issues that we have, and that it's not one-way communication just from us to you. It makes it much easier for us to be more responsible in terms of making recommendations if there's 2-way communication that happens.
And so just to clarify, you talked about the task forces and the board in conversation. Do the positions go back to membership before, or is it mostly the boards that are deciding on behalf of membership?
It's the directors that decide on it. However, I know with Westview and with ourselves, and with Wildwood, that when there is a major issue that comes up, we always bring it up at our meetings with membership, and we inform them of what we're doing and how we're proceeding on it.
Thank you.
Councillor Pong.
Thank you, Chair. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to hear this initiative is underway. Coalition has a little more clout than individual ratepayer organizations. But I will say in the past, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and that's how our ratepayers have been viewed in the past. We listen, and we have acted on a number of items and issues and projects based on the information that was brought forward from Ratepayers Group. It's just unfortunate that a long-standing ratepayer group out of Cranberry is not one of the fourth addition to your group. I would encourage anybody in Cranberry to get involved and bring the whole community aboard, because this is much needed to listen to the grassroots, the citizens of Powell River, and I again applaud you for being here today. Thank you very much.
We agree with you about Cranberry, and we would love first Cranberry Association to come forward with a representative to work with us.
We reach out to them. We did reach out to them, and also we've indicated at least some of our organizations have associate memberships. We have actually people from Cranberry that are part of our organization, but ideally it'd be nice if Cranberry could create. So,
Councillor Southcott.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for the work putting this together. Just a simple question: was the Townsite Ratepayers Association invited to be a part of this coalition?
Simple answer is no. The reason is because the Ratepayers Society, Townsite Ratepayers Society, doesn't believe that they have similar interests as to what we in Westview might have.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Elliott.
I just wanted to thank you both for coming. Sorry, I have a little bit of congestion today, so my voice isn't working that well. I've always been very pleased to attend ratepayer meetings anytime I'm invited, so I encourage people to continue to do that. I usually come when I'm invited unless I'm out of town and I can't make it or something. So I've had less invitations in this term since, but there was a pandemic where things kind of changed, and it feels like our normal patterns for inviting one another to come and talk haven't gotten back to pre-pandemic levels. So before the pandemic, I recall going to a lot of ratepayer meetings, and they would send me emails and let me know when they are, and I would show up. Since the pandemic, that hasn't been happening as much, and I feel like that could be an avenue for improving communications as well.
From my point of view, any meeting is open to council members. You don't need to be invited to show up, and we encourage you to show up. And then from time to time, we will invite people. And if you have issues you want brought up, then you can communicate with us, and we will also then be able to put them on the general meetings and help get the word out.
So I was under the impression you had to be a member to come, and there's a people at the door that make sure you're a member if you want to come in.
In our case, we check membership for voting purposes, because and that's the reason we do that, is because we give people a voting card, because there are people there that aren't members or are associate members who are outside who can't vote. So you would be welcome.
Okay, thank you.
In our case, we're open to anyone that wishes to attend our meetings.
Sorry, just one follow-up, and I'll cease my turn. So I think a lot of the emails that tell me when they're happening aren't showing up in my email, and I'm not entirely aware of when you're having your meetings. Thanks.
From now on, every council member will know.
Okay, thank you.
That's a promise.
Done? Okay, I think that's the end of the questions and comments. So thank you very much for coming and sharing your ideas. So 3.4 is Brian Hasselback regarding Squatters Creek landfill issue and effects on residents.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, and Administration staff. My name is Brian Hasselback, and my spouse and I own a home on the 4300 block of Quebec Avenue. Some of my good neighbors are here today in support. I'm here to speak to the Squatters Creek landfill, as I refer to it, unfortunately, debacle. It also has to be stated and acknowledged this issue affects 17 homeowners, other homeowners, our builder, and area businesses. None of what I'm going to say is positive, sorry. but the city's complete mismanagement of this issue has turned a large part of our lives upside down. Our largest asset, like it is for most people, our home, is for all essential purposes worth nothing on the market if we wanted or had to sell today. I'm going to start with a definition that you should all know: duty of care. Legal experts define duty of care as a legal term used in the workplace and extending to all aspects of public life. A person is obliged to take precautions to protect others. They must take all steps a reasonable person would take in the same situation to avoid causing harm. The Squatters Creek landfill has a long history with the school board and the city, and there's not enough time to go through the entire timeline. To summarize for everyone here, long ago a dump, Squatters Creek landfill, was capped off, and the province has a registry showing it in, let's just call it Area A. Subsequent owners, the school board and the city, said, no, it's only a portion of Area A. However, despite various requests and warnings by the MOE, Ministry of the Environment, no actual documentation delineating the actual dump was ever forwarded to the MOE. Reportedly, the school board did perform this exercise, that is, stake it out, around 2011, apparently gave it to the city, and if this actually happened, they sat on it. That never got forwarded. It would appear around May of 2023, this issue was forced again to the forefront when a city business was denied a building permit. So the current staff we have are aware of the situation. However, prior from 2014 to that time, the city had no problem issuing building permits, hence today's mess. Our builder was made aware on June 23rd, 2023, and subsequently advised his clients shortly after. On the 27th of last year, the mayor signed off on a letter sent to the Minister of the Environment, and in the first sentence called this a matter of great urgency. It details the history of the Squatters Creek landfill and acknowledged the city issued, without duty of care, building permits on the affected lands. A key paragraph. Without providing rationale or explanation as to how these approvals came about, it appears from city records that building permits for residential development and further subdivision approval were issued by the city on these properties between 2010 to present without formal clearance being sought through the ministry. The next sentence immediately makes a claim that many environmental assessments exist, yet apparently none of them ever got filed with the MOE. The third week of September, I went to City Hall and asked our planning manager what is going on and why the residents aren't being advised of such an important issue that impacts them. I was told, can't tell you anything. September 28th, I sent an email to the planning manager CCing our CAO stating, I can't tell you anything isn't acceptable. On October 6th, I got an email back saying, still can't tell you anything. On October 8th, I sent another email addressed to the mayor. All you folks on council, the CAO and the planner, again expressing dismay and stress on us for this. And I can't tell you anything, just doesn't work. And the only reply I got back from the CAO was, in short, you guessed it, I still can't tell you anything. On October 23rd, I was forwarded finally a copy of the previously mentioned mayor's letter to the minister from our CAO. It was nice to at last get some information. However, it was penned 4 months earlier. So for me, that felt really disrespectful and didn't show duty of care. On October 30th, 2023, a letter was sent to the school board and the city from the ministry, the MOE, entitled Director's Requirements for Site Profile Release Notice for all 40 P&IDs affected. The closing of this letter sums it up. The MOE finds the school board and the city jointly responsible for the remediation of the contaminated site and responsible for the non-compliance of the conditions imposed in the 2006 Site Profile Decision letter. It closes by requesting a response to the letter by December 15th and provide a schedule to meet the outstanding requirements. The parties addressed opted to ignore and not respond to the letter, most certainly not showing duty of care. On February 15th of this year, the school board and the city received another letter from the MOE, again titled Director's Requirements for Site Profile Release, but with a lovely addition of and potential enforcement action. In it, the ministry notes no response from the parties by the required December 15th stipulation. They granted an extension to January 15th, and a response by both parties was received at the last minute, January 15th and 16th, that did not contain the required plan or schedule. Hence, the ministry has made a decision and they will focus their attention on the city as the current owner, and the city is non-compliant. An invitation for response was offered by no later than March 1st. To the best of our knowledge, that being the people affected, we've been told we're not entitled to that knowledge, but the city did not respond. Still didn't respond, certainly not showing duty of care. On March 25th, in a letter under the Environmental Management Act, the city has been served with a site investigation order. A couple of key points in that letter: the city failed to take into account the citizens' health and safety or environmental impacts. And two, because the city and school board failed to respond responsibly with a plan or schedule as requested by the ministry has decided to do it for them. So the city is to retain a qualified professional to do the work and reporting by April 15th. That was yesterday. Complete the work and report by April 1st next year, 2025, and provide bi-monthly reports and so on and so forth. I'm sure you've probably seen a copy of this letter. But it even gets better and more complicated, costly, and embarrassing for our city when on April 4th, 2024, the city was served with a notice of civil claim. So our builder and one of the affected property owners is suing the city. I have some questions to pose to you, but I want to again reiterate what the city's complete disregard for duty of care has done for those of us affected. There were many chances to turn this around and head in the right direction, but for some bizarre reason, the administration, and I guess council, I don't know, I'm not privy to the discussions, thought, well, we've ignored this for so long, we'll do it again.
Point of order, Chair. I think I'd like to ask the speaker to, I think you can make your point without insinuating attacking staff. Thank you.
Well, I apologize if attacked staff. That certainly wasn't my intent. I'm sitting on a piece of property I can't sell.
If you can just go ahead with your presentation, please.
Anyhow, I feel that it got ignored. I lost my space now. I have the questions. I made copies for you all. I'd like to read them out loud. I don't know who distributes this. Do I just pass them to you folks, or can I give it to you too? Question 1. In the letters to the city, the MOE makes reference to the safety of those who live near or use the site, and a contaminated site that may contain substances that may cause or threaten to cause adverse effects to human health or the environment. I'm sure it is, but is health and safety a concern for this administration? How can the city allow access to this area? And I think we all know where the actual landfill is, and it's a dog park. So if it's health and safety wise, it's still open. Question 2, as per the March 25th site investigation order, has the city procured a qualified professional and submitted proof by yesterday, April 15th? Question 3, a large part of your role is to pass bylaws, legislation, rules, essentially for the citizens of our city. You expect the citizens, businesses, etc., to adhere to those rules. Does anybody up there feel, I'll change my word, that it's a little wrong that our city administration and leaders ignore another governing body and the legal requirements placed on them? Does anyone up there feel it's beneficial to the city's reputation or to the budget to have another lawsuit or environmental penalties placed against the city? Is it the city's intention to invoice the owners of the all 40 P&IDs a tax bill, considering for all intentional purposes, their holdings are worthless on the market right now? Number 6, how would you feel if and react? I didn't put this one in, but I just want you to think about if it was happening to you and it was your home. And that would be it. People might think this is hysterical, but I know some people down in Shelf who didn't even get to move in their homes. So we're concerned.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm going to ask if the CAO or the corporate officer has a response on behalf of the city.
Through the chair to Mr. Hasselback, due to the fact that this matter is under litigation, the city cannot comment. And I'd just like to say that we do acknowledge your concerns and the frustration that causes, and that we are proceeding carefully, but are unable to risk speaking further to this because of the legalities involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's any further comments by council, we'll move on to the next delegation. And the next delegation is 3.5, Lesley Thorsell of Malaspina Land Conservancy regarding seedling planting.
Oh, I'm going to bring some nature in here. Hi, my name is Lesley Peel. I got married. I'm one of the directors of Malaspina Land Conservancy Society, which began in 2008 with Janet Southcott. We are a nonprofit charitable organization committed to long-term protection of natural heritage. We engage in stewardship, restoration, and management of lands with covenants. And our vision is people living within a healthy, diverse region where respect for the natural world is paramount. Two of our board members, Justin Fraser and Rachel LeBlanc, live on a property with a covenant. They love that the covenant protects the trees from logging, reduces taxes, and they are grateful for the opportunity to be caretakers of the land. In 2019, we began a fir seedling fundraiser project and honored our board member, Ted Crosley, who had passed away, who had a deep love for trees and conservation. I found a nursery in Camel River, and we, with Facebook advertising, were able to efficiently drop off the seedlings and phone recipients for confirmation. This gave us the ability to continue through the pandemic and not miss any deliveries. Each year we added more trees for delivery. This year was 2,040. And because of local enthusiasm, we have a grand total of 10,000 trees planted over the last 5 years. We're very proud of that, and we'll be celebrating with cake and champagne on Earth Day. I love this quote: "The true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit," by Nelson Henderson. In other words, do something now to benefit future generations without expecting anything back in return. It may not seem like a huge amount of trees to some, as we see so much logging, so many logging trucks go by. We have 30 logging trucks a day go by in Lund. And there's a tree island floating by, the tugs every day as well on the ocean. I wonder how many bird nests and bear dens are being destroyed. But planting a seedling is planting hope, a promise to the next generation. It's nice to see that provincially and federally, seedlings are also being planted. I don't know if we can tax our way out of climate crisis, but we can plant our way out of one. Through planting trees and regenerative farming that does not use pesticides, regenerative farming actually absorbs carbon instead of emitting it. 2 mature trees will provide enough oxygen for a family of 4, and 2 trees absorb 90 pounds of carbon per year. So besides absorbing carbon, they help prevent soil erosion, send nutrients through mycelium, provide food, help people heal, help reduce noise, lower temperatures, provide canopy and habitat for wildlife, reduce drought, capture rainfall, bring in clouds for rain, which is very important these days, clean air pollutants, shade the young and spawning fish, and are our #1 solution to climate change. Our superpower, an essential component to human life on Earth. Yesterday, Tracy and I assisted a grade 2-3 class in planting some seedlings in an area called the Secret Forest. Some of the students felt really connected to the trees after planting them by themselves. One student called her tree Lily and said to the teacher that if she wanted to find her, she'd be hanging out with her tree. That is what it's all about, making that connection between nature and us, that we need each other and rely on each other, how nature is our friend. As William Shakespeare said long ago, one touch of nature makes the whole world kin. My personal vision is for residents to have a plot of land donated for future generations to sit in the shade of trees, an area where children and families can plant and know their tree will be with them next year. 10,000, 20,000, it's limitless. So thank you to the board for listening. I do have some seedlings available for you guys if you want some. You want some? Okay, I'm gonna use my time. And anybody in the audience, you just want trees?
Sorry.
Thank you. You can plant them on Earth Day. Any questions?
That's the next thing on the list. Questions. I see Councillor Isaacson has her hand up.
Not a question. I actually won't be taking any today because I already planted, I think, 3 from Malaspina Conservancy Society, maybe in 2019 or 2020, and they're already about 6 feet high.
Wonderful.
So, thank you for doing this. Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
Councillor Elliott.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the trees. I'll definitely plant some of them, and I'll share them with my colleagues if they want them. So when I was a little girl, I planted a tree at my mother's house. It's currently a full-grown, big, huge tree that blocks all light from her home. So I just want to encourage people to when you're planting your little tree, imagine it very big and make sure you put it in the right place.
Yes, exactly. And make sure you water it for the first year or so. Yeah.
The tree I planted was very close to our septic system and is watered very well and grew very well, and then necessitated them digging it up and changing things because its roots did things to it. So I didn't think very hard about where I put my little tree, and so I just encourage people to, because we were rural, right? But yeah.
Yeah, great. Oh, yes, Rob?
There was no.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm looking through your trees, so it's difficult to see you, but there we go. Now it's better. I just wanted to point out that in the last 3 weeks, I've had a chance to go out with Powell River Community Forests, as well as the Western Forest Products, and observe firsthand the program that they have to ensure that after they harvest, the tree planters go in, and then each year they find ways of improving it so they grow back. So I think that's important for the public to know. And I really like the fact that what you're doing provides an opportunity for all of us as individuals to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Southcott, I see your hand. Or the facsimile thereof.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, obviously I'm associated with this organization, and I just wanted to express my own appreciation. And clearly we've got lots of challenges in the world and in our community and in our business here. We've been listening carefully. I'm sure no one is more concerned than this council is about a lot of that stuff. But to have such an example of hope and joy, it's just really been great for my life. And I know this community has so much of that. So NLCS and this amazing tree project, thank you so much, Lesley. You know, you're just an ongoing inspiration.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, it's, yeah, we focusing on these good things and hope and joy and planting trees in the right place. We can get through all this stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I just want to say thank you as well for coming. And I'm not going to be taking any seedlings home to plant because they are naturally occurring in my backyard all the time. It's a great place to live, and trees do that. They start sprouting up. And I'm actually struggling with trying to find the correct balance of having as many trees as I want around my yard, and trying to pay some attention to what the fire smart people are telling me when they tell me I have about 30 trees that are way too close to my house right now in the event of an emergency caused by climate change. So, you know, keep doing what you're doing, and the more trees we can replant, the better it's all going to be for our grandchildren in the future. So thanks for what you're doing.
Thank you. I want to do a shout out to the schools as well, because they're doing a lot for they're helping the kids plant them, and they got an eco fair coming up at Brooks too.
Yeah, some of the trees in my yard only came across from James Thompson School and ended up getting planted in our yard instead of going home to mom and dad's place. Thank you. So that brings us to correspondence. And the first item on my list of correspondence is an email received April 8th, 2024 from Kate Scoular regarding C3 and Intergovernmental Protocol Working Group. Any comments? Anything arising? Don't see any other hands, so we'll move on to the next item. 4.2 correspondence received between January 25th and April 4th regarding the potential name change, and that's quite a long list of communication there. I've been through it at different times, reading all of them. Any comments or anyone wants to bring up? Mayor Wasno.
Yes, I would encourage everybody to look at the letter from Dave Florence. Since I've been on council, I have never seen a letter as well written, researched, and the author has the ability to look at a variety of facts and then, without using his own emotive words, puts them together into something which to me was a combination of an academic scholar as well as just a nuts and bolts practical person. So I would encourage everybody to take a look at that letter.
Thank you. Councillor Palm.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Through the chair, I just want to thank all of the citizens that have taken the time to submit the lengthy reading material that's on our agenda today on this item. And I will say the first one from Mr. Art Richards, I am going to take the time to read that word for word, Mr. Richards, because of what happened last term in this chamber. I'm still ashamed of what happened that day when you were turned away for simply coming in to express your opinion on a particular item. So I apologize for what happened back then, and I thank you for your correspondence today, sir. Thank you very much, Chair.
Anyone else? Don't see any other hands, so I'll move on to, we have item 5. There are no reports for decision today. Under reports for information, we have 6.1, the RCMP Quarterly Update, our staff sergeant. And seems like you were only here a couple of months ago. It's these quarters are coming quickly.
This is it, the start of the quarterly reporting, so you will see me much more often than you have in the past. So let's just get right down to it. It's not going to be near like the annual report, so it's going to be mostly statistical. So first quarter, January to March, we responded to 1,501 calls. That represents a 3.2% increase over the same quarter last year. Of the non-criminal calls, check well-beings continue to rise, and this quarter they're up 38%. All the other areas of non-criminal calls have seen a reduction. Mental health calls are basically unchanged, a small decrease of 3%. Persons crimes overall realized a 1.1% decrease. However, common assaults were up 5%. We can see there's some significant decreases though. Sex offenses are down 50% and harassment complaints are down 33%. Property crime overall is down 1.65%. I guess the nice thing about the quarterly report, I can put in a lot more property crime numbers for you so you can have a look, and if any interests you. You'll notice that bike thefts are up 200%, representing 6 reports this quarter compared to 2 in 2023. And residential beanies are up 54%. Other than that, you can see there's quite a decrease in property crime in the other areas. Drug offenses are down 50%. Drug trafficking reports are at 0, and weapons offense are unchanged at 6 reports for this quarter. Vacancy patterns are stagnant. So overall, our roadable resources are 23 members on the road right now. We have 4 hard vacancies and 4 soft vacancies, which, like I said, has not changed throughout this quarter. I'm hoping as the year goes on, the training academy is going to start sending members out to the field like they keep saying they're going to. There's supposed to be a flood of them coming back to BC. Yet we have yet to hear from those. So those are total resources for Powell River, including the provincial complement. So out of those vacancies, 7 of those positions are municipally funded. Some of the community programs we took part in over the quarter, this was our biggest one, Don't Hug Doug. It was a program presented by our community liaison officer, Constable Paul Perry, into elementary schools talking about body autonomy and consent. It was a huge success, and it started with one school and kind of progressed to every other school wanting it as well. We did a fraud awareness series in March at the Jerry Gray Center, trying to target the seniors and give them some fraud prevention tips and information. We also went into inclusion clients and gave them presentations on home and personal safety talks. One of the big community programs coming down the pipe is a situation table. I think as you are aware, you were successful in the grant to bring this program to Powell River. So it hasn't started yet, but we are in the infancy of getting it going. It's going to help frontline workers identify vulnerable people, and we're going to deal with it rapidly. This is 2 to 3 weeks. They're hoping to get clients in and out and serviced. So benefits are supposed to be long-term, reduction of long-term demand on emergency services, including police, fire, ambulance, increase vulnerable people's use of the services that we have in Powell River, and proactively connect the people to these services. So we're holding out great hopes for this program. Other RCMP updates, body-worn cameras. The successful vendor is Axon after Motorola failed the field test. They have passed, anticipated rollouts fall of 2024 to the divisions. So I can't predict when that's going to roll out to the actual attachments. My guess is going to be winter 2025. The pricing still hasn't been decided, but the last ballpark figure they're looking at is $3,000 per camera, and every frontline member will have one. They haven't indicated where that cost is coming from, if it's coming through the policing contract or if it'll be a direct bill to the contracting partners, but I'll keep you updated on that. We are rolling out a new version of our taser. It replaces the old X26 tasers, new and improved. They are all on site. We're just waiting for the updating course training standards so we can recert our members on the new tasers. And our new collective agreement, all enough, I've put the finishing touches on this yesterday, and today they came out with The arbitrator has decided that for 2023, the raise will be 4%. 2024, the raise will be 4%. 2-year contract plus a $2,500 pensionable bonus. That's what they call it. There is a few other, not a lot of compensatory stuff that would affect the city, except the field coaching pay will be increased a bit. We may be tapping into that if all we get here is recruits as opposed to seasoned members. We've set our 2024, 2025 priorities. I think we can all agree these are broad, overarching, but it's road safety, crime reduction, reconciliation, and employee wellness. So within each of those topics, we have smaller initiatives that we're going to target and try and impact those areas that we're looking at. Other than that, that is all I have for the very first quarterly report.
Thank you. Councillor Elliott. Yeah. A lot of hands going up quickly here. So Councillor Elliott, you're first, and Councillor Palm.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Sergeant Weeb. When I was at AVICC just this last weekend, there was a resolution that came forward regarding the equipment required to determine whether people have insurance coverage or not, because the ICBC's decision to not have stickers makes that problematic if you don't have specialized equipment. And the request from AVICC to put forward to UBCM to advocate for the province to ask ICBC and the Ministry of Transportation to fund police forces with this equipment so that they could do their jobs well. Do you know whether we have increased instances of people driving without insurance as a result of the way the sticker system is now, or do you have a need for this kind of equipment, or do you have any comments?
I do. So personally, we don't have that stat about if it's on the increase, but we're stopping a lot of vehicles with no insurance these days. So I just think that without the sticker to even remind the normally law-abiding citizen as a brief reminder to renew your insurance, it's just not there. So forget one day, you forget 30 days, sometimes 6 months later, you realize that you're driving without insurance. So yes, just anecdotally, I think it's on the rise, but that's my personal opinion. We do need automatic license plate readers. That's the program you're talking about. When ICBC rolled this out, they went to traffic sections only, which we do not have. Those readers are between $17,000 and $20,000 a piece. They're not foolproof. So at this point, I wouldn't recommend the city purchasing any of those. And hopefully, organizations such as AVICC and UBCM, perhaps they can pressure ICBC and rolling it out province-wide to general duty cars are the ones that are on the road 24/7. So those cars should get some type of fit up as well through ICBC.
Thank you.
Councillor Palm.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, thank you for being here today and providing us with these statistics. I have a question regarding one, and it refers to care and safety and all the things that this council needs to address here to keep our citizens safe. And I make that comment not only to you, but I make it for one of our delegations that presented earlier. Safety is paramount in my mind, sitting here. So the question is, in terms of break and entry, the one stat that caught my eye on your presentation was 17. Can you tell us a little bit about those, where they're happening? Do they happen in various locations or throughout the region or throughout the city, or are they sort of in one area?
Long story short, no, I can't. That's a regional number, so that is the entire region, including Texada. That's 17.
Talking about, is that the entire region?
That's the entire region. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
So, and they are all over the place. They're random, they're wherever, they're crime of opportunities. That's about all the information I have.
And do any of those pertain to any violence?
Not to my knowledge, they don't.
Thank you.
There was no.
Through the chair, is there anything that council can do to help promote the neighborhood watch block program?
Yes, and I think it's supporting the various ratepayers. The ratepayers in the various regions are working hard to roll out this program. There's lots of volunteers, but we're still struggling with captains, and without captains, the program really isn't going to work. So I think the continued support of the ratepayers associations or societies is key here.
Thank you.
I think your hand is screwing up the focus on your camera there, Councillor Suscott. So the depth of field goes wonky, but I see your hand.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's a tricky device that I've borrowed from Councillor Almeida. I'm still learning how to use it. The question comes from my past, being an ambulance, when there wasn't as much, wow, I don't know how to put this exactly, but ambulance did an awful lot of well-being checks. I think I've asked this question in the past, but the trend that I did notice, that I have noticed over a decade probably or more, is ambulance is not doing that anymore. I don't really expect ambulance to have significantly greater skills at psychiatry, psychologically based mental health problems, as we call them now. But and Councillor Isaacson did do a lot of work trying to get the PACT program introduced, or at least added to our resources here in Powell River. Is there any progress in the direction of relieving RCMP from the wellness checks that still dominantly, or now even way more dominantly than in the past? And I'm obviously talking many years here, or the services tasked with.
I don't see anything on the horizon other than the situation table that's going to help reduce the mandate creep that they were experiencing in policing. I do have great hopes with the situation table that it's going to help us identify frequent flyers that we can hook up with services, and then they can take over and look after them. And hopefully that's that's the theory behind how it's supposed to reduce the workload on the police in this area.
Great, thank you. Here's hoping.
Councillor Isaacson.
Thank you, Chair. I'm wondering, through the Chair, Sergeant Weeb, could you remind me of the difference between hard and soft vacancies?
Hard vacancy, someone gets transferred out and they leave a vacancy, that's a hard vacancy. A soft vacancy is where a member goes off on some type of family leave, or they're hurt long-term. Those are positions that are taken up that we cannot fill. So the soft vacancy is, they just hurt because you can't backfill them.
Thank you. And another question, another AVICC motion, the conference that we were just at was related to failure to appear in crime statistics. And I think the region that had put that forward was Duncan, because they have many regions come to their courthouse and there's failure to appear charges, and they show up on that city's crime statistics. Obviously, there aren't other municipalities that we're drawing from, but I'm wondering if a failure to appear charges show up in the statistics that you're sharing today.
It's one of those charges that was considered a general administrative penalty. The courts didn't like that because you're penalizing people that haven't been convicted of a crime yet, so they were hesitant. I can tell you that the pendulum is starting to shift. We're starting to see a few more fail to appear charges, and we just met with Crown Counsel, and I think we're going to see more of those charges come forward now. The amount of people failing to appear at court these days is horrific. The time and effort it takes to execute those warrants, find people, get them in front of a judge, have them released, have them do it over again. It's it's becoming too much and it's a real drain on our resources.
Thank you.
Okay, we're into the whole second round of questions now. Councillor Elliott.
So I have kind of a follow-up from Councillor Isaacson's question. The presenter who was presenting the resolution for failure to appear wanted them removed from statistics because they said there's no workload to local police forces because of failure to appear. And it sounds to me like that's not entirely true.
Without knowing the full context there, it's people don't show up for court. The courts are now expecting us not to sit on that warrant and arrest the person when we come across them whenever. We're supposed to actively pursue them, otherwise it can have Jordan impacts on the overall trial. So we have to show that we made efforts. Some people don't want to be found, and it takes a lot of effort to drum them up. Bouncing from house to house, if we have to pin a house down and get a warrant to execute the warrant, that's a lot of work.
Okay, thank you.
See any more hands up? So thank you for your report, and we'll see you again next quarter, I suppose.
Thank you, Chair, Councillors.
Oh, next we've got community engagement councillors. So I will start with Councillor Isaacson, if you'd like.
Are you able to get
Your
back
turn.
to me? I'm just going into my calendar now.
Okay, we'll try again. Councillor Alameda, community engagement report.
Yeah, well, it's been a active week and a few council events that took me away from other things. But the one big thing for the last couple of weeks was just the opportunity to be on the ice for the police fire game that was held on April 6th. I don't have a total yet for what was raised for the two charities, but it was a fairly packed house, a lively crowd. The firefighters ended up on top for the game with, I believe, a score was 5-2, if I remember correctly. Sergeant Weeb can correct me if I'm wrong. And it was definitely a growth in funds raised. We had two Canuck alumni playing with the team, and Finn, the Canuck mascot, was out with the kids both on the ice for a little scrimmage game, and then before the game as well. There was actually a delay to get started due to the lineup of photos to get a photo with Finn, the mascot, apparently. So overall, a great experience for the third annual Battle of the Badges. I have a bit of a memory to remember by. Trying to break up Sergeant Weeb and someone else. No, I'm kidding. But overall, it was a good experience, and then a great weekend this past weekend in Victoria at the AVICC conference with a few nuggets to bring back to the community and such.
Thank you, Earl. Councillor Alameda. Councillor Southcott, you're next in my field of vision.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of things aside from AVICC this past weekend, which I found particularly fruitful and interesting. Really a great conference in many ways. Last week, I attended a novel and imaginative initiative to stimulate food security for our area. It's called the 2-block diet, and the basic concept is gardening with your neighbors, people helping each other. There was quite a bit of interest, about 24 people there. So I know this thinking pops up in our community, being isolated and having maybe 5 days of food in the grocery stores should the barges and etc. stop coming. So that was very enjoyable. Bunch of enthusiastic people. And the second thing I'd like to report on is I had the pleasure of representing the mayor as acting mayor last week at VIU's celebration of the end of their school year. It was a very happy event. VIU feels like it's thriving. Their medical program is increasing in size. They're doing renovations up there, and it was a very happy event. Really, truly a celebration. So it was an honor to be there, and it was the best speaking event I've been at yet. I didn't have to say a word. So that's me. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Palm, you're next.
Yes, thank you, Chair. A couple of items. Not having attended AVICC this past weekend, my phone was ringing on Friday on a certain news item that came out in the Peak regarding the partial lease of our Bartec building that the city owns. And there was some concern from citizens in regard to what that use would be and is there safety issues and whatnot. And then there was another business owner that is in the vicinity of the building. And he is interested in seeing if he can have more space for his business and pushing out and hopefully talking to staff about expanding his boat storage in the vicinity since he's right there. So I met with staff on Friday and they assured me that they had gone through the proper channels and what is being proposed in the Bartec building is safe. And that's a 3-year lease. It's nice to see that the building is being used. And hopefully the other business owner will come forward for possible expansion of his facility. Secondly, the Community Forest Board, I filled in for Mayor Wasnow at the annual general meeting of our Community Forest Board last week. And a very interesting meeting. Is always nice to see those dedicated citizens that have put over $25 million into city facilities and upgrades over the last 15 years. They're dedicated, they work hard, and they always come with all kinds of other projects to help out the city residents. So I can't say enough about that board and what they do. And it was nice to see an accountant that has been working with them for 15 plus years there, giving us a thorough update of the numbers. And I wish all of council would have had the experience to see that because it's very worthwhile. And in terms of our Community Forest Board, I will say if Lesley Thorsell was still here, I can assure everybody in the community that there was a lot of discussion around reforestation in terms of what our Community Forest Board does. I thank them profusely, and it was a pleasure to be with them last week. Thank you. One other item, Councillor Doubt, sorry. I'm happy to report that Berry Advisory Committee meetings in our community will resume on the internet and Zoom to start, and working towards face-to-face engagement down the road. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Elliott.
Thank you. So I did attend a housing roundtable on April 8th. I would call that a forming. We're in a forming stage. We're talking about building a terms of reference and focusing on membership. Do we have the right people, and what is it we're wanting to focus on? And next meeting's in June, so we will come back with the results of that and have further discussions around that terms of reference, which haven't been completely formed yet. It isn't have a lead agency at this point either, so they're still looking for hopefully someone to put up their hand and say, yeah, we'll be the the lead agency to help keep the steam going. And there's many of us from various organizations at the table, and we're working that out. I also attended a Vancouver Island Coastal Communities Climate Leaders Steering Committee meeting. I've been appointed to that by the regional district, and I attend those to participate along with others in all the other regional districts in our area. We have been trying to create an annual symposium for staff and elected officials to discuss progress. And so those are going to be happening on May. We're doing it online so that nobody has to drive anywhere. It's 2 mornings for 3 hours. Monday, the second and third, no, first and second Mondays of May. That's what it is. And I would have the numbers on the top of my head, but I just don't. So sorry about that. I went to AVICC and on the first day attended the housing workshop, or Housing Times 3. And they had information about short-term rentals. Lisa Helps came and talked about BC Builds, which is the new announcement with all the money coming out of the provincial government this budget. And the big push is for 80% of those dollars to help with middle income market housing, not just the nonprofits, but for developers to work with them as well. So that was talked about and how that works, and the way they hope to help owners of lands who would like to have them developed is to have folks sign up their lands and help them with connecting with developers and funding and operators and things like that, to facilitate more buildings getting built faster. And there was discussion from there was the owner builders of association from the from Victoria area, and they talked about things that municipalities can do to help, and so we listened to that. They did indicate that the statistics are that British Columbia is the most expensive jurisdiction to build in Canada, and the difference between us and the Canadian average is quite high. And so they attributed that to differences in our building codes compared to other jurisdictions. And they talked about how we can reduce that within municipalities by streamlining our windows of permitting to be all in the same time window instead of one after the other. And they encouraged us to try to move towards a streamlined permitting system that does not have a developer spending a lot of time on getting this permit and then have to spend more time on another permit, but rather have them all using the same time window to try and get their ducks in a row. Now, I don't know if that's possible or not, but that was the suggestion. It sounded like it made sense to me. Anyway, that was the message I heard there from them. And also at AVICC, we had a number of resolution sessions and resolutions that went forward, and we participated in those and spoke to some of them, agreed with some, disagreed with others, and we hope to see the ones that all passed coming forward to UBCM. And that's what I've been doing with this last week. Thanks.
There was no.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to throw the opening pitch at the under-15 baseball game this week. And I'd like to compliment Brendan Freelich, who works for the city in the recreation department, for the work that he and others are doing to create an opportunity. Doesn't matter whether your son or daughter is 3, 5, 12, 15, they get an opportunity to go out and enjoy baseball and learn about teenship. I thought that was excellent. And I'd mentioned to Arthur Arnold that really complements what he's doing on the musical side. And I think if our young people have an opportunity to pursue either athletics or music, turns out really good for the city. At the AVIC meeting, we have a 2-hour session of mayors getting together. And I think Councillor Doubt must have been listening in, because he started off the council meeting today with the essence of what we discussed. And that was the importance of a wholesome exchange of ideas by residents when they come to council. And I think the more we can do to promote that, we'll move away quickly from any concerns that people have that they can't feel comfortable to come here and exchange their ideas with us. While I was at the COFI conference in Vancouver, I did spend time at the Mary Pack Center and the Arthritis Society of Canada. And I did this because in the past, rheumatologists used to come to Powell River on a quarterly basis. And for some reason, this no longer happens. And so I wanted the Mary Pack and the Arthritis Society to provide a host of information to me, which they did, which I'll make available to various organizations in Powell River, so that anybody who has one of the many forms of arthritis can feel comfortable that they can get access to either online services or in-person services. And hopefully we'll start to have a rheumatologist up here on a quarterly basis again. I did meet with some individuals with regard to crime. One was a security agent, the other was a housing developer, and just emphasized to me that whatever we can do to allow seniors living in a facility on a major street like Joyce, that they should be able to have a barbecue on their deck. They should not have to double lock their windows at night. So I think that's a continuing issue before us. It was brought up at AVIC also, and I certainly will continue to discuss that with our MLA. Thank you.
Councillor Isaacson, are you ready now?
Yes, I am. Thank you for that, that leeway, Chair. I also attended the Housing Roundtable. Agree with Councillor Elliott, definitely in its forming stage. And so, you know, the organizations that are there generally are ones that are involved in getting people housed. And the key question was, what would the purpose of the committee be in order for members to continue to show up and be involved? What would be meaningful for them and what would be useful? And so I think we'll continue to form over the next months. Was also at AVICC. I won't repeat some of the things that were mentioned before, but I do want to reiterate what Mayor Wasno and Councillor Doubt shared. There's a huge focus on respectful environments in council chambers and how it's so important for residents to feel comfortable coming to council meetings, even if members of council and members in the public disagree on things. It should still be an environment where you know you are able to show up and participate. And it's hard, and it's really the council's collective responsibility to set that tone and also to enforce our expectations. And so, I often raise points of order. It's so easy. Sometimes it's really hard to know when things veer into getting into a place that maybe we don't want to go any further along. It can be a slippery slope, but I hope that we continue to hold each other to high standards, and it can be very hard in the chair's role to navigate that in the moment. And so I know when I'm chair, I invite others to remind me through points of orders if I'm not seeing something that's going on, but it's really important. But it's also really hard. And when we hear from residents about not feeling comfortable in council chambers, that is a hard thing to hear, but I absolutely believe it. And those comments are coming from a wide swath of people of different ages and views. Anyways, so there was a lot of discussion at AVICC related to that. Was also at the housing workshop. And I also was an invited panelist. So I spoke on a panel on the implementation of Truth and Reconciliation Commission recommendations and speaking to intergovernmental relations. I was on stage with the chair of the Alberni-Cakewalk Regional District and also a lawyer from Young Anderson. And we had a great discussion. Just for reference, at previous council meetings, there were 3 resolutions that our city council sent to AVICC, one related to library funding, one related to housing authority funding, and one related to emergency shelter program design, and all of those passed at AVICC. A little bit of leeway, there are 3 things happening before our council meeting, and so I'm going to do quick announcements. The regional district is hosting some evacuation workshops throughout our region, and the second one for the city is at the Rec Complex tomorrow night from 6 to 8 p.m. So if you want to learn about what evacuation might look like in our region, 6 p.m. at the Rec Complex tomorrow night. The Knuckleheads Winter Recreation Association is having an event tomorrow night to learn from other community-led winter recreation areas. And so if you want to learn about how Mount Kane came to be, or Dakota Ridge, or the Spearhead Huts around Whistler, coming out to that. That's 7 p.m. at the library. And then National Film Day has, there are some showings at the Patricia Theatre tomorrow night, Thursday matinee, and Thursday night. And so I believe those are all free, and check those out in celebration of National Film Day. Thank you, Chair.
Oh, it's been an event-filled couple of weeks for me as well. So April 3rd to 5th, I went as a representative of the Cassette Regional District to the Municipal Insurance Agency of BC conference that they had. The city has a delegate. I was there for the regional district, but they basically talk about issues that really affect cities and the region. The conference was great. It was filled with a lot of 1-hour presentations, each with probably 3 or 4 different lawyers sitting in from different firms. So we got an amazing jolt over 3 days of legal advice, enough to do for a long time. We talked about risk management largely, and Municipal Insurance Agency provides insurance, so they talk about risk and they know about risk, and they have a lot of insight in how to actually manage the risk, minimize damage, and minimize your need to have insurance to cover it. So went there. There was a lot of discussion about changing with changing times to make sure you were on top of what's going on in different things. There's capital asset planning and really how to protect your assets into the future and to make sure that you're doing what you can to make the cost of those assets as low as possible as you move along. Talked about local government subsidiary corporations from a liability perspective. Now, that sounds fairly complicated, but it works in really well with what we're talking about housing and housing authorities, because many authorities in British Columbia, many municipalities and regional districts, both are looking into creating housing authorities. And you can do that by creating a subsidiary corporation of the city to do that, to own the housing, to build it, and to operate it. A lot of legal opportunities to make things better and smoother, and a lot of pitfalls. There was quite a discussion about that. And the other councillors who were at the AVICC meeting were talking about passing a resolution that passed, which I think was pretty exciting, to ask the provincial government to cover the legal costs and the setup costs for those kind of subsidiary corporations. So there's not a lot of profit in setting up the corporation at the beginning, but if you're going to do some building, you have to do the groundwork and figure out how you're going to control and operate that kind of a corporation, and that takes money to do that. We talked about addressing climate change for risk resilience, and it was amazing that we had people from all over British Columbia there who were talking about what can happen in a disaster situation, from a culvert flooding in town, which is something that their works department can probably handle to all of the electrical services in your entire community and your region, basically burning down to the point where there's no poles, no wires, and no people to put them up. And a regional district or a city with a small staff has to try to plan a restructuring and a resilience and put it into place at the same time. Incredible demands on the people that are trying to do the work there. And they talked about a new idea for construction called integrated project management, which, as opposed to the current design or design, build, construct, that might all be in separate phases. You start out from the beginning, put yourself together, a team with an architect, a construction company, and a builder, builders and subcontractors, and start from the ground and work on the design together and work on the contract together and make sure there's a benefit to everybody in bringing things in on time and on budget. Also a very fascinating session on water and wastewater project risk management. That was the AVICC, that was the MIA-BC. Then there was the AVICC, Association of Vancouver Island and Coastal Municipalities. And one of the first things, the keynote speaker was a Diane Kalin Supra. And she talked about how toxic culture kills community and what to do about it. And what I found interesting about that is about 3 weeks ago, I'm looking for some ways to talk about toxic culture in our community, looking at my bookshelf, and I'll admit that my bookshelf's got a lot of books I haven't read and intended to read one day. I saw this one. I thought I'd give it a read because it may have some good hints and ideas about how to deal with each other in the community. And what do you know, it does have a lot of great ideas. It was the focus of a well-received presentation at the AVICC, and I intend to put as much as I can in that. I've read a couple other books about change management and bringing people together, and what I'm gleaning out of that is if I want to change something, the best chance I have of actually changing something is changing what I do. What you do or what anybody else in the room does, not something I can control, but I can try to make things better by trying to change what I do. So a fascinating bunch of programs at the AVICC. The Friday afternoon session was about truth and reconciliation and building better relationships with the Aboriginal or Indigenous community that we live with and together with, and trying to work out ways to do that, which our council is trying to do. There was discussion right at the end in one of the workshops about having open and closed meetings. And everybody, all of the council members that were in attendance at the time from Powell River went and took in that discussion. It was a fascinating discussion. But at the end, when we got up and asked the questions, and when we said, tell us exactly what the rules are as far as having a closed meeting with a First Nation, they looked at each other and said, well, we don't really know. Nobody really knows. What they said is you have to start and try to do something. Try to do something. Try to find the right way to do it and see how it goes from there. That's the same answer we got from the Minister of Municipal Affairs, Ms. Kang, is get together and talk, get together in a good way, respect each other, see what you come up with, and it'll probably be good. So it's interesting. And actually, Young and Anderson were the lawyers making that presentation. They did a good presentation. They had a long slideshow about things that everybody knows all about. But when we asked them our question, what do? We found out that we were actually in the lead of exploration in doing new things between municipalities and Treaty First Nations. And we're going to have the courage to explore and do what we think is best. And hopefully that will turn out to be something good. So that's what I've been trying to do last couple of weeks. And I see Councillor Alameda has got something he wants to add.
Thank you, Chair. Some news just came my way after my update, thanks in part to our Chief Drakely and to the CAO. An update on the police fire game raised about $16,000 for the two charities that the police and the firefighters associations are supporting. So another great job by the Powell River community.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Alameda. So I think that's the community engagement reports. We have no unfinished business on the agenda, no new business. Down to questions. Powell River Peak, do you have any questions? Okay. Anyone else in the audience have any questions?
Good afternoon, Council. Name's Ted Vizzuti, down on Hammond Street. I have a question. When our council members go to an organization and you're there under the regional district, and we know that Councillor Doubt and Councillor Elliott are our representatives, is that correct? Yes or no?
Yeah. Councillor Elliott and myself are directors on the regional district, yeah.
Good, thank you very much. When you're there, are you representing and you go out to functions such as you went to in Victoria or to this function that you went to, and I'm not sure where it was, this other one this week. When you're there, are you there for Powell River or are you there for the regional district?
So when and I went, so I'll answer the question. When I go to the municipal insurance agency, I go there because it's part of my assigned duties as an officer of the Cassette Regional District. Well, when I learn things, it goes in the same brain.
Okay.
Okay. So when I learn things in a conference that I go to on behalf of the regional district, and I learn things that I think are important to talk about here at this council meeting, I remember them and I report on them here.
Information's always good. I'm not against that. My concern is who pays for you to go? Is it the regional or is it the city of Powell River?
The regional district paid for my trip to the MIABC.
Okay, good. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Okay.
My name is Bill Davidson. What this is concerning is we have, for a better word, a housing for people with addiction in town, across from Quality Field. Now there's talk of having more of them in town. Is this correct?
I don't know. You've heard it. There is.
Okay. So my big thing was this last few weeks, they've been talking about the same place in other communities. What the communities are finding is they can't control it. There's theft. And in one community, the drug use was so toxic that the staff had to wear protective equipment. My thing is before maybe any community in BC makes appropriations for more of them, that they get it under control. Maybe they need new legislation. Maybe it's a place that they have to make up new rules for. But to put more in with the same problems, I just listened to the police officer there. We would have just more money thrown after bad money unless the cities can come up with a way of policing these, for a better word. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any questions from anybody? Ms. Burton, I have a question.
It's Sherry Burton, and thank you, Chair and Council and Your Worship, for the opportunity to ask questions today. My questions are in relation to Agenda Item 3.4. When, for the safety of people and their dogs, will the city shut down the dog park until the site has been properly investigated and, if required, remediated?
Do you have an answer?
Through the chair to Ms. Burton, we have not been advised by the Ministry of Environment to take that action at this time. So if we are, we will advise you. Thank you.
I would disagree with that statement based on the site investigation order of March 25. So I believe there's a paragraph in here that talks about the safety responsibility of person named this order ensure all activities are conducted with due regards to the rights of third parties. And when it using a dog part that's potentially contaminated, third parties being affected.
I think what you're doing, Ms. Burton, is asking for a legal interpretation. I don't think anybody at the table here is capable of giving a legal interpretation, and staff has responded to your question as best they can.
Thank you. I just would like to caution council to not close down the dog part, because you're aware there's an issue here. Opens up the city, which is taxpayers' money, to liability if it's found the dog park is contaminated and you've allowed people and their dogs to continue to use it. When will the city provide notice to impacted property owners of the site investigation order? I spoke to the duplex owners on Ontario Avenue this weekend who were unaware that their properties were impacted.
The AO would like to respond to that.
Through the chair to Ms. Burton, as soon as we're able to, we will be communicating to residents. And I ask for the community's patience as we work through the due process with our insurers and our legal advice. I do think that there may be, with regard to your first point about the dog part, I think there may be something that we can do to make people aware, since the fact that this litigation is public, that we could post something so that people can choose whether or not they use the dog park. Thank you.
So 2 large lawsuits have been filed against the city, one involving this environmental issue. And I appreciate the city cannot discuss the lawsuits, but lawsuits require significant legal fees to defend. In attempting to research how legal fees are budgeted, I note Appendix G of the 5-year financial plan states the insurance and legal reserve fund will be increased to 385% this year with a transfer in of $637,000 for a balance of $1.13 million. In the previous 3 years, this fund was topped up each year by $20,000. So are legal fees covered by this fund?
As an answer for that.
Through the chair, may I ask a qualifying question? Are you speaking specific to the former Max Cameron school site?
The 2 lawsuits. So there's the wastewater treatment plant lawsuit and the environmental issue. Okay. Mr. Urbain's lawsuit. Those will require significant legal fees. How are we paying? Where is that money coming?
Through the chair to Ms. Burton, we have yet to determine, because we do have different options, including our insurance. So as we follow through the process, I'll speak with our CFO and about what we're able to share about the distribution of that. Thank you.
So this comes down to a concern I have about how the public's informed about facing significant legal costs for this year and beyond. In the February 2024 staff report, it stated the reserve funds with larger 2024 ending balances are positioned to fund significant capital costs in 2025 and 2028. So are legal fees considered capital costs?
Through the chair, no, they are not.
So as a concerned property owner and taxpayer, I do not feel that public's been properly informed that we are facing significant legal costs for this year and beyond. to dump in over $800,000 into reserve fund, which we won't be drawing money out of. I'm not even sure I understand what it's for, is a significant hit on property taxation. So I'm just feeling that we're being a little not transparent towards the public on what we're facing. And certainly I wasn't aware that this fund was so huge now, and I don't even really understand what it's for. I don't understand how insurance and legal reserve fund is covering capital costs.
Through the chair to Ms. Burton, I will talk with the CFO and see what we're able to share. Thank you.
Yeah, it's disappointing today that the CFO and the the planning director weren't here today to answer some of these questions.
Any other questions from the audience? I don't think we have a motion to go in camera today, so have a question online. Councillor Isaacson, did you have a question?
No, just if there's any questions online. Motion to adjourn?
Oh, I would suggest a motion to adjourn would be appropriate. Have a mover and a seconder, moved by Councillor Isaacson, seconded by Councillor Elliott. All those in favor? All those opposed? That's carried unanimously.